I'll have you.
Turbo. Oh, come on, up here. Hey, leave that guy alone. Ay, caramba. Cyril, go in your box. Bad squirrel. Squirrels are, by nature, really difficult animals. They're clever animals, but they're extremely wild. They don't like to be handled. They're flighty. Get back on your seat. They're a really challenging animal to work with. Okay, we're just running wild in our room.
Our poor squirrel people, I think, did go kind of squirrely by the end.
I had no idea of what it actually involved, and when I did finally read the script, it was a bit overwhelming, but it is a lot of fun. Look, remember you ripped it off last time. It's good.
We had a squirrel training camp that lasted for several months.
I know. Not on me, though. The squirrels all came here from England, and most of these squirrels actually came from squirrel rescues.
Training squirrels to, you know, jump on people, kick people. I mean, they were quite amazing.
In order to train the squirrels, it's actually a fairly slow process. You really have to take baby steps. Everything happens a millimeter at a time.
Go on, guys. Go on.
The first stage, obviously, when we have a wild squirrel, is just getting him to come out of his cage and into the box that we transport him in, or into his little stool that he sits on the set. That's the first challenge, and that is quite a challenge in itself.
Go on. Flash, go. Good. Come on, Flash.
We've actually named every squirrel so that we can keep track of them.
There's a couple of documentaries on squirrels where if they want something, you know, they'll go through quite a lot to get it. There was one story where the squirrels were stealing Christmas lights off of the people's houses and going and just unscrewing them and taking them away and burying them somewhere. I don't know, some sort of private squirrel Christmas or something.
I was amazed to find out the varying personalities of the squirrels we have here. They don't all have the same personality. They are all capable of learning. Some are better at other things than others. We have found that some just don't have an interest in picking up the nut at all, and so that makes the initial stages difficult because you have nothing to work with. And those squirrels that don't lend themselves to being what we're calling good nut squirrels move to our groups that we're training to run across the floor.
And there they go. And another one. Ba-bing. And then slow poke. Go on.
So our smartest squirrels do the nut gags. Rather than teaching them to put it right into the conveyor belt, we use this little bowl because it's a much more defined area for the squirrel to put it in. After he learns to put it in here, then we turn that into putting it into the little conveyor belt. This is Muggsy, and he's been doing it for about a week and a half. Probably takes about 2,000 repetitions for him to start to understand that he's going to put it into the bowl. And he's probably, you know, at about 400 or 500 repetitions. So he doesn't quite have the idea yet. Good boy. Peter, take the nut. Peter, turd. One of the considerations we have when we're teaching the squirrels to sort nuts is we obviously can't give them real nuts because they would just want to eat them. So what they've done is they've made us these little plastic nuts. They look quite real.
But there's a rogue element in the squirrel department, and they're actually eating through the plastic nuts. So we've actually had to make them out of dental acrylic so that they can't bite through them. But there's still one squirrel left that's actually biting through dental acrylic. So we've actually got to make some of them in metal, aluminium nuts, just to train this one particular squirrel to stop biting the nut. And
Another one of the gags we have to do, besides actually shelling the nut, is the squirrel has to tap the nut so that he can listen to it and tell whether it's a good nut or a bad nut. So we spent a lot of time training that, and what we found was that when we trained a squirrel to tap the nut for real, it didn't quite read like the director wanted it to read. It didn't look human enough. So we've come up with a clever little idea where we've got this nut mounted on this stick, and the squirrel will come and pick the nut up, and as he's tapping it, we can manipulate it a little bit to make it look a little bit more human. By nature, they don't want to sit there and hold it while it's moving and being manipulated like that. They don't want to necessarily keep their hands on it. So that was quite a bit of training to get them to do that.
Veruca sees the squirrels and wants the squirrels. Her father says no, and so does Mr. Wonka, so she goes in and gets one herself. Except all the squirrels pounce and dump her down the hole.
We're teaching the squirrels to do the beginning sequence of that attack. What's going to happen is the squirrels are going to run out of these boxes, they're going to run up Joe and onto the boxes behind her. When we actually shoot it, we're going to use a stunt woman that is going to double our little actress girl, Veruca, and she's actually probably going to fall down with squirrels.
This is made to look like Veruca, so this is Veruca's face. We took shots of her and sculpted her to look like this at this moment. It was on her stunt double. We needed to be able to protect her face from the little claws and the activity of the squirrels as they ran all over her face.
A squirrel jumped on me, and if you ever had a squirrel jump on you, it's not a feeling I want to feel too much in my life, but it helped create the sequence because it's quite a spooky, strange sensation, which I think we were able to use in the sequence.
The script actually calls for about 200 squirrels to be in this nut sorting room. So we've got 40 squirrels, and through a lot of Hollywood magic, we're going to make it look like it is 200 squirrels.
It was a mixture of real squirrels, puppet squirrels, and some CG squirrels. So, but you know, we always tried to mix it up, so we never relied on one technique.
Okay, this is one of our squirrels. We're making 12 in total. They are they sit on their little seats, and they're part of the whole entourage of squirrels that sort all the nuts and decide which are good nuts and bad nuts. The idea is most of the shots we would probably have a real squirrel in the foreground doing an action, and then several animatronics in the background repeating that. One of the reasons for using animatronics is because they don't mind doing it over and over and over again. They don't complain. The disadvantage is obviously they're never going to be as real as a real squirrel, so mixing and matching is a good way to go.
Don't touch that squirrel's nuts. It'll make him crazy.
We're playing an intermediate role between the real squirrels and CGI squirrels.
We had the one sequence of shots where they run across the floor and jump onto the little girl. Now that was something the squirrels turned out to be very good at, but once they landed on Veruca, that was the moment where we had to take over entirely CG, because there really isn't much you can do with the real squirrels. They're so fast. What we then had to do, obviously, was then keep developing the look of all of those shots so that they stayed photorealistic, yet still told the story to the audience, which was that this sort of swarm of squirrels had managed to pull her onto the ground, get underneath her, and then like a moving carpet, dragged her across the floor. It was a long, long process from first designing and developing the squirrels all the way to the end product of delivering the final shots.
I really hope it's going to be a memorable sequence. It was in the original book, so it's really sort of a privilege for us to be able to be a part of this and make this sequence happen.